everyone. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Are You Tired? Because I am. Today, our guest is...
Hi, my name's Nikki. It's really great to hear from you guys. I'm coming at you from the big city, Raleigh, North Carolina, because you guys all live in the middle of nowhere, so...
To me, but I know you laugh every time I call Burlington a city.
What, they're from Burlington?
Yes.
That is not a city.
I know. I'm
Raleigh
just saying
is barely a city, in my opinion.
If I see a 3-story building, automatically it's a city. Like, that's just it. To start out, I have one very important question to ask you. I think it really makes or breaks a friendship. So, have you ever murdered anyone?
I'm gonna go with no. Is that correct?
Right answer.
Thank you. Great. It's great.
Okay, so let's say that you were gonna murder somebody. How would you do it, and do you think you'd get away with it?
Oh my god, okay. Do I get to pick the person?
Yeah, sure. I might be a little offended if you pick me, but you know.
Oh, I would never pick you. Oh my gosh. I would probably pick, like, Jeff Bezos. And here's what I would do. Because he has so much money, and I would take all of his money. Because, obviously, whoever murders you gets your money. It's not like your family gets your money, you know, it's your killer. But I would probably public execution, French Revolution style. We're pulling out the guillotine, we're pulling out the executioners, and, you know, I don't really believe in the death penalty. And everyone can have their own personal beliefs on that, but I don't think it's a very humane thing. But Jeff Bezos, nah, he can get head in a basket. Come on, let's go.
Do you remember Lamb to the Slaughter?
I've never read that.
So, there's a lady who kills her husband with a big frozen slab of meat, and then after he's dead, she calls the police, cooks the meat, and feeds the meat to the police.
Well, if you were to do that, who would you kill?
Since we already had a guillotine handy, we went ahead and killed, like, a few more billionaires. I think I would have to do the president, because you know he wouldn't get killed in the French Revolution because he's broke.
You gotta take one for the team there.
When I was little, I was really obsessed with those scary stories, like books. You know what I'm talking about? Did you go through that phase, and what was your favorite?
I don't think I went through a whole phase of it, but I remember one book that I had that was a scary story book, and I don't remember what all the stories were, but I remember it had the one with the lady in the handkerchief around her neck. What was that?
I don't know.
I think you read that one, yeah. I think a lot of people have read that one. That one is really weird. But I did have, like, an animal taxonomy book, and this is the book that I was obsessed with. It just had, like, all the different families of animals and, like, the classifications, and I would, like, read it all the time, and I remember that my favorite page was the one about horses, because, like, horses and donkeys and all those kinds of things as a collective are called ungulates, and I thought that was a really funny word.
I'm not even surprised.
What about me says that I would be obsessed with animal taxonomy and ungulates?
I mean, like, you get very dedicated to, like, some sort of academic field, and then you learn everything there is to learn about it. That's what I know of you.
I see. Nerd.
That seems like a really good segue into, can you describe some of your highest aspirations? Because I know you have a lot.
Oh, I am a very aspirational person. I'm a very future-oriented, goal-oriented person. Let's see. Okay. Well, I'm getting out of North Carolina because I do not like it here in this state. It is not really for me. If I were to have my way, or out of high school, I would either go to Washington, D.C. or New York. And I would probably get a degree in, like, international relations or, like, something with language. And then, like, I just want to, like, go around the world for work and, like, make the world a better place and for my job and, like, use, like, my language and cultural knowledge to do that. And one day I want to speak, like, 10 languages.
Would you like to tell them how many languages you speak and which ones?
I would love to tell you. Well, okay, if you want to be technical, I don't really fully fluently speak any language except English, but I'm learning quite a few. I've been studying Japanese for 3 years, and I can do pretty well for myself. I can, like, read and write and have most daily conversations, so I'm pretty functional there. I can kind of speak Spanish. Depends on how you define speak. Like I know some words and I can ask for some basic things, but I'm really still working on it.
You've got a high school level, for sure.
And then I've been studying Latin for a month because I'm taking Latin class this year in school, and you can't really speak Latin because it's a dead language, but it's just a fun thing. And then my Arabic classes actually start tomorrow. Also, in the past, I've studied Chinese, German, and Korean. And I think I had a one-day stint where I was trying to learn Mongolian, and that failed too.
So we just talked about like scary stories, and so I said, speaking of scary stories, the president's been freaking out lately because, you know, the New York Times really said stuff about his tax
I did see
return.
that New York Times thing. That is a hot mess and a half. That is a messy 2,000 calorie burrito of a news story. Wowza.
It was like Sunday night at 1 a.m. He tweeted fake news in all caps.
How many times has he tweeted fake news in all caps? Like 20, probably.
Every time something comes out that he knows will hurt his poll numbers. Do you have a favorite of the president's potentially fraudulent tax write-offs?
Okay, my favorite one is that, like, the same year that he paid, like, $750 to America for taxes, and then, like, the same year he paid, like, $3 million to the Philippines, $2 million to India, and, like, a bunch to other countries, just in, like, hotels and offshore bank accounts. It's so weird. Like, he's literally paying other countries exponentially more than the country that he is literally in charge of. That's like giving, like, your neighbor's kid $1,000 and giving your kid, like, a $5 allowance.
I think the writing off money he gave to his daughter and writing off, like, haircuts, I think that's so fun.
Is that even hair, or is it just, like, weird growth?
Exactly, it's not hair. So just for a minute, forget about the president thinking he's a dictator, and imagine yourself as a dictator.
I already like this.
Yes, not of America. We're gonna pretend that the lesbian and gay kingdom of the Coral Seas is still a thing, and you are the dictator of it. What crazy
wasn't
dictator
that like a
can you
little Australian island, and then they were just like, this is a gay country now?
do? Yes, and as soon as they legalized same-sex marriage, they were like, well, we're disbanding now, which was so mean of them to do. Come on, stay alive.
No, they're like, I want to live there, come on.
What is, like, the most insanely dictator kind of thing that you would do if you were the dictator?
Install, like, socialized medicine, probably. Like, I wouldn't really want to be a dictator that hurts people because, like, I care too much about other people. Like, I would be really sad. Like, I would just want to install, like, stuff that was good for people. Let's have some good schools and, like, socialized medicine. I'd probably be, like, taxing the rich people 90%. Probably do that.
Let's just forget that you had an amazing, coherent response to that question, and let's just, like, pat me on the back for writing the question. I think we understand more about you because of that question. That was...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Kat. Very good. Very
Thank
nice.
you. Which of Ray Bradbury's predictions are you most afraid of?
What are his predictions?
Just like the plot of his story, because a lot of them have been coming into fruition in real life. For example, in Fahrenheit 451, he wrote about how technology was becoming so standard and, like, globalized that suicide rates were going up because people felt like they didn't really have anything to do because there was so much automation. And then it started happening, and that was like... Yeah, so, like, from what you know of Ray Bradbury, which of his plots would you be most afraid of coming to fruition?
Okay, which of his plots? Okay. Probably The House on Its Own, because that just sounds, like, so eerie and weird. But, like, if you think about it, that kind of already is happening. Because, like, smart TVs, Alexa, smart air conditioner thing, what else? Like, door locks on your phone and, like, stuff like that. Like, I feel like the house is already, like... Have you heard that? Like, I think it's called, like, the Internet of Things. And it's just, like, random things being connected to the internet. Like, I've seen, like, a piece of paper that was like, well, it's connected to the internet, and whatever you write on the piece of paper will get uploaded to your cloud. And I'm like, what? It's like a real thing. I don't know. Just random things getting connected to this big network of garbage that we are connected to.
Another thing that's made news recently is J.K. Rowling's new book, which is, like, the entire premise of it is transphobic,
Jesus
but let's
Christ.
just ignore that. She wrote it under an alias that also happens to be the same name of an infamous conversion therapist. I think the fact that she chose that name says a lot about her, just from that and her Twitter. So if you were J.K. Rowling, what alias do you think you would choose to, like, convey your character?
So what alias would I use for my transphobic book, but I'm
No,
not
not transphobic. It doesn't have to be.
Oh, just like any book.
Yeah, like you're J.K. Rowling, but you're like a good person.
Oh, so just like come up with an alias that says who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Quiet Harmonica. I don't know where that came from, but just from the deep recesses of my mind.
Do you want any like explanation for that, or
to explain it? Well,
I mean, you don't have to.
I think that there's a very vivid image of me in my head, which is that when I was in 7th grade, I would run down the hallway of my middle school, blowing into a green harmonica, like a green plastic harmonica, and being like in between classes, and it was really kind of funny and ridiculous. And I think that just says a lot about how, like, I could be a quirky person. So, but also, like, I'm quiet because sometimes I don't want to be a quirky person, and sometimes I just want to, like, stay to myself. And so I think that throughout my life, there's always been that kind of dichotomy of, like, am I going to be a weirdo today, or am I going to be a snail shell today?
Okay, so these are the last few questions. We have a lightning round.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes. Very much yes.
What's your favorite color?
Okay, like lavender, but also dandelion yellow, but also blue.
Digital books or physical copies?
But I would say physical copies, but I don't really read books anyways.
Do you think the United States lost the Vietnam War, or do you think we strategically pulled back?
I don't know enough about it to say.
We lost.
I should do more research on that, though, because that's probably an important geopolitical thing.
From Pokemon, are Jesse and James dating, or are they really just gay friends?
Oh, are those the Rocket ones?
Yes, Team Rocket.
Team Rocket? I think they're definitely gay friends. And I say this because I used to be obsessed with musical theater, and I remember that one of my favorite musical theater actors always had a story about how he played Jesse in the musical version of Pokemon, and he was a flaming homosexual, so I'm going to go with they're gay friends.
Which sodas are the best, and should they ever be mixed together?
I don't really like soda. I'll drink it if it's there, but I'm gonna go with like water or coffee or like an apple juice or a tea of some sort. Like I don't
Why
really
do you mix
see
those
soda.
together?
No.
I think
Maybe
I know the answer.
maybe I would mix apple juice and tea. That
Yeah,
could be
that
good.
actually might taste good. I guess
Yeah,
depends on
but
the kind of tea.
besides that, I'm good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thank
This
you
has been
so much for
lovely.
having me. This was really fun and a great way to procrastinate doing my homework.